to try to walk this baby out. What happened to your head? It already hurt down there. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl TahiraDeVine, and if you're new here, welcome. And if you're an existing subscriber, thank you for coming back and showing me so much love. My other hand is busy. But you guys, I cannot believe I have a baby, number 2, and this is crazy. Like, she was planned and so many things I didn't expect with her getting here, but it was so worth it, since so many people have been asking me like, okay, you posted the cute little video, but can you sit down and actually tell us what the heck was going on, and what were you thinking, what were you feeling, what was the pain? They want to know how was the pain, what the heck was actually happening at home, how did it go, how was it set up, who was there. So I decided to sit down and actually talk to you guys about what was going on. First of all, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and go ahead and check out the links in the description to check out the photographer, the whole entire birth team, my social media as well. And yeah, y'all see how long my hair is getting? Anybody want a hair update? Thumbs up. Her due date was November 29th, 2018, and she was born on December 5th, 2018. I was in early labor for so long and had like no real idea, because everybody was like, okay, first my midwife was like, okay, I want to get your body ready so that you can maybe go into labor before 40 weeks, because she was a little nervous of me getting preeclampsia. So I look a bit crazy. So I was doing things to get my body ready, such as walking. I was drinking raspberry tea or hawthorn tea, pumping. I did a lot of breast pump work, just pumping my boobs 15 minutes. So I would do 5 minutes on this boob, 5 minutes on this boob, and I was using a manual pump, because nowadays insurance companies won't send out your breast pump until the baby gets here, or at least until the baby's due date. Which isn't really a big deal, because when I ordered mine after her due date, it came the next day. So some nicer maternity bras. If you guys know a company, tag it below. What, mamas? What? You stop eating, booby. I'm trying to do a video of a baby. So I was doing all that work to try to get my body to deliver around 38 weeks. So here at 37 weeks, mind you, my mom is in Florida, and my mom is in Florida, and that day, at 37 weeks, the day before I started 37 weeks, which I believe was like, it was a Wednesday. That day, I started feeling like contractions. Like, my dad had bought me a whole bunch of flowers from when I had just got married on Sunday, and literally when we were cutting them up and putting them in their vases, I just started feeling horrible, like in pain. Like, my dad looked in my face and he was like, you know what, do you need me to help you? And he just started helping me, and I was just like, I can't, like, I feel so crampy, and I was having contractions. So I told my mom, which I didn't tell her, I didn't want her to panic, because it's like, I never went that far in labor. Mind you, I had my son early. He was at what, 36 weeks, 35 weeks? He was 35 weeks, and he was forced. Good job, mama. Wasn't forced, but you know, induced. So I had no idea what was supposed to happen, but I figured I would feel something. So me and my sister, we went to the hair store. We like, oh no, I look a mess. It's time to do my hair out. I'll show you guys. It's time to do my hair. So we were in a hair store looking for hair. Good morning. I got my hair done. Yeah. Hi, Kay. I washed all of Winter's blankets and everything. No baby. And I just had to stop and breathe a couple of times. Like every so often I had to stop and breathe because it was just, the pain was like, it was a little new, it was a little fresh, and I wasn't in the mood for it. So I have a high pain tolerance, but that pain was crazy. So mind you, anyway, my mom came home the next day. Well, she didn't come home the next day. The next day I met my midwife and she checked me and I was 1 centimeter dilated. So when I told my mom, she like, I'm already booked my flight, I'm on a plane. So that's a big misconception. Like, just because you're 1 or 2 centimeters dilated does not mean baby is coming, okay? My midwife said constant contractions, a bloody show, and mucus plug were signs of labor. So here I am having contractions, no bloody show, no mucus plug, but I'm dilated. And my mom's like, oh, well, baby's coming. So she jumps on a plane. She stays for 2 weeks, and we have no baby. I mean, I did everything in the book. People like, walk. I'm walking around tracks, okay? I'm walking around the tracks. They like, go to the mall. I'm in the mall every weekend, running around the mall buying shit that I don't need, okay? I was doing any and everything to shake this baby out, and she wouldn't come out. I was starting to get like real bad anxiety because I knew she was okay now, and I was kept reading stuff. I wanted to know, you know, how stillborn babies are born, how you just see a lot of like tragic stuff happen, and I just thought the longer she stayed in, the higher the risk it would be for her that she wouldn't be okay. I was so worried this entire pregnancy with her being a twin and losing the first baby, well, losing her twin really had me on the edge of my seat this entire pregnancy. It was such an I'm about to choke up crying about it now, but it was such an emotional experience for me and my husband. I'm so happy she's here. I'm about to choke. I'm not gonna cry. Okay, fast forward. The day before she came, it was December 4th, and I swore she was gonna come on December 4th because it was our 1 month anniversary for being married, and I just felt like she wanted to like crash our party, okay? So that whole entire day I was having contractions. They weren't like so close, but they were like, it was a every time I called to my mom, she looked at me like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. She like, okay. She wouldn't keep asking me because I didn't want them to be like, yo, mom, I feel some type of way, and it'd be false again like it was for the last 3-4 weeks. So mind you, this was right now. She came at 40 weeks and 6 days. So I'm almost 41 weeks. I had an ultrasound the next day and a midwife appointment the next day. I would have been 41 weeks. So for 4 weeks from 37 weeks, she had not came. So I didn't want anybody to be on the edge of their seat too. Like, she was gonna come when she wanted to come. My husband and my sister and her friend, we were all over and we was eating D'Alessandro's. I was eating a pizza burger. In the middle of eating my pizza burger, I felt a contraction. And then like 10 minutes later, I felt another contraction. Like 8 minutes later, I felt another contraction. And I was like, let me pull out my contraction timer. So I pulled out my contraction timer, and while I'm eating my pizza burger, I can see my husband looking at me. He sees me keep touching my phone for like every time it's getting a contraction. And then we get in a bed that night. I didn't tell anybody anything was happening, but my husband noticed. We was on edge. Like, we thought baby was coming, period. Like, she was gonna come at the most inconvenient time in the world. So that just happened. So we got in the bed, and Kayla was up. He was just all on me that day. Like, he was very clingy to me, and I was like, maybe she's gonna come today because he's really like acting crazy. So this was like 10 o'clock. When we got in the bed, it was like 12, 1 o'clock. And I told my husband, like, go ahead and go to sleep. I'll stay up with Kim and stuff. You go to sleep. Because I had a feeling baby was coming, okay? So I'm texting my midwife like, hey, I'm having some contractions. They're not too constant, but every contraction I'm starting to feel it's starting to get a little bit more intense. And she's like, you know, go to sleep, try to get some rest. She even called me on the phone. She called me on the phone, and she wanted to hear me go through a contraction. So she was waiting for me to go through a contraction to hear how, like, maybe if how I was breathing through it, if intense, if I was screaming, yelling, whatever she wanted to hear. A contraction didn't come. She stayed on for 10 minutes and a contraction didn't come. Mind you, I was feeling a contraction every 10 minutes almost. So she was like, you know, try to get some rest. So on December 5th at 1:29 in the morning, I texted her, sorry it's late. I've been having contractions since about 10 p.m. and they're lasting about 30 to 40 seconds. The intensity is not too bad. And they were about 7 to 15 minutes apart. I said, now they are currently starting to get more intense and they're lasting a minute long. So around 10 p.m. they were 7 to 15 minutes apart. They only lasted about 30 seconds and the intensity was like, okay, you just kicked me, you know, it ain't too bad. But I texted her at 1:30 in the morning, like, they're starting to get a little more intense and they're starting to last a minute. And then she said, how frequent are they? And then she just called me. So that was at 1:30. I could not fall asleep. My husband had went to sleep and I was just wide awake. I couldn't go to sleep. These stupid contractions started picking up. They started having me clench my pillow. I was so I was clenching it like it was like, what was happening? Like, what's happening? So around 3:48 she said they had to be a minute long every 5 minutes for an hour. So the rule is 5-1-1, I think. And so at 3:48 to 4:48, I was having a contraction every 5 to 6 minutes, and they lasted for a minute, and they were intense. And she said she was on her way. So she was on her way. That was 5:10 in the morning. I said, okay. And I called my mom. I told her, so Asasiya is coming. I was on the phone with her and I stood up and literally this hot water just fell out my legs. And I was just like, I'm like, Thomas, my water broke. And he's like, and he was just, I don't think my water is going to break. It didn't break with Caleb. It had to be broken with Caleb. So I didn't think my water was going to break. I wanted that experience. Even though they say the longer the baby is in the water, the better. But we have 41 weeks. Like, she just needs to fall out at this point, okay? And I text my midwife like, my water is broken. She's like, is it clear? Like, was it pissed or did your water just break? And I'm like, no, it don't smell like anything. Because they say it don't smell like anything and it didn't smell like anything. I literally just stood up and it fell out. It fell out of my vagina, okay? And she was like, wow, like what? I went from nothing to something in 5 seconds. Like, water broke. And she's like, I'll be there shortly. Mind you, when I texted her, it was 5:10 and she got here at 5:30, about 5:30. So it really only took her 10-15 minutes to actually get here. Both my sisters were here. My midwife was here and my doula was here and my husband here. We were all just like chilling, and I was breathing through some contractions, cracking up and dying at the same time. It was crazy. And then my midwife's like, do you either want to go to sleep right now or get to work? And I'm like, get to work? I'm like, no, I'm taking a nap. Like, what she talking about get to work? Like, all you do in the hospital is lay down. She's talking about get to work, okay? Yeah, that nap didn't last. And so Asasiya literally had me doing like crazy stuff. She's like, okay, I want you to throw your leg over here. And she was doing so many pelvic exercises that basically was going to bring baby down and out. So I was on my hands and knees, on bicycles, sitting on a birth stool, walking up in steps. Like, oh my goodness. However they let you just lay in the bed in the hospital is crazy, because I would have been in labor for so long if I didn't move around. When she first got there and checked me, I was only 3-4 centimeters, which was disappointing because I was ready for her to drop out. She wasn't coming at all a couple days ago. So I'm like, all right, 3-4 centimeters. She's gonna be here by 10 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, it's 6 o'clock. I just swore she was gonna come at 10 o'clock in the morning and she didn't. She had 4:22. 4:22, okay, p.m.